Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, continue.
Okay, good morning to each and everyone here today. La Dirección General de Desarrollo Profesional, los centros regionales de formación permanente y los técnicos pedagógicos de los centros regionales del campo de conocimiento inglés. Welcome you to the English webinar, Tips and Activities to Create a Communicative English Classroom. Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever. Mahatma Gandhi. Now, I ask you to register your attendance by filling out the registration form. Please access the link shared with you in the chat section of this room. Please remember to follow the netiquette rules. Keep your microphones off. Don't write on the presentation screen. Turn your camera off during the presentation. Adhere to the same standards of behavior online that you follow in real life. And identify yourself with proper name. Now, distinguished audience, this webinar is intended to make a contrast between what a communicative classroom is and what is not. To scaffold a communicative English lesson, to give strategies to teach the lesson in English, to show strategies and resources that can help develop oral communication in our learners. Now, I will introduce you to the team of pedagogical technicians in the field of English knowledge. From Dirección General de Desarrollo Profesional, we have Yasmín Matute, Jacqueline Aguilera, and Noé Oliva. From Centro Regional de Formación Permanente, Centro Sur Oriente, Alma Méndez, Roberto García, and Darely Martínez. From Centro Regional Centro Occidente, Dulce Medina and Marvin Martínez. And your host, Jacqueline Young, from Centro Regional de Formación Permanente del Litoral Atlántico. To continue, we are going to listen to the opening words by Magister Suyapa Martínez. Licenciada, el tiempo es suyo.
Estimados compañeros y compañeras docentes, todos ustedes muy buenos días. Un saludo muy especial y ese agradecimiento por participar en este webinar, por su interés manifiesto con la educación, por ese compromiso siempre permanente que tenemos y tienen todos cada uno de los docentes. Es para la Secretaría de Educación y los centros regionales de gran satisfacción poner este día a disposición de ustedes, este webinar que lleva por nombre Consejos y actividades para crear un aula comunicativa en inglés. Estamos más que seguros que todos los conocimientos y las estrategias que en este día van a compartir nuestros compañeros, ustedes las van a implementar de clases la van a implementar con sus alumnos para tener esos estándares, esos indicadores deseados y que su accionar pedagógico se vuelva cada día más motivante en el hecho de ir implementando nuevas estrategias que conlleven siempre a la mejora de la calidad de los aprendizajes. En nombre de la doctora Gloria Mengíbar, subsecretaria de Asuntos Técnicos Pedagógicos, y de la licenciada Lucidalia Carranza, directora de la Dirección General de Desarrollo Profesional, doy por inaugurado este webinar, Consejos, una aula comunicativa en inglés, y esperamos que todos los conocimientos que hoy nos compartan pues sean puestos en práctica. Muchas gracias.
Perdón, muchas gracias, Magister Suyapa. Muy agradecidas por esas lindas palabras. Okay. To continue, remember that education is our passport to the future because tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for the present. Livethare.com. Following with this program, I'm going to read the biodata of our speaker, Dr. Ana Isabel Campos. Ana Isabel Campos Centeno is a National English Advisor for the Department of First and Second Cycles of the Ministry of Public Education. Of Public Education. There is the doctor. She coordinated the reform of the new English curriculum the country is implementing. Ana Isabel Campos received her doctoral degree in Latin America Studies from the National University of Costa Rica. She also holds a master's degree in the teaching of English as a second language from the University of Kansas, USA, and a BA in the teaching of English as a foreign language from the University of Costa Rica. She is a former fellow of the Fulbright program and in the last years has collaborated as a professor in the master's program in applied linguistics at the National University in Heredia campus in Costa Rica. During the last 30 years, she has taught English in public and private institutions. At present, at preschool, elementary, high school, and university level. So there, as you can see, we have a specialist in the topic. Dr. Ana Centeno, you are welcome to this webinar, and the time is yours.
All right, thank you so very much, Jacqueline, for those nice welcoming words. I want to thank all the team in Honduras from the Professional Development Department, Master Zulaya, Martinez, and Jasmine Matute, and all the collaborators that have made this webinar possible. Really, I am very honored and happy to be able to share with you this morning. So in order to start, I want, I'm going to share my screen first of all.
Recording in progress.
So that you can see my presentation. I want to know if you can hear me well. Yes, you do?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Thank you for the very quick answer. So we will be talking about something that is very important for us as English teachers. How can we make sure that our students are using English for communication? We know that we are teachers of a language. And as humans, you know, language is part of our innate capacity that we as humans have, but also we use it for anything, for everything, right? That we can think of. So communication is fundamental. And when we are teaching a foreign language, one of our challenges is how to become effective in terms of making our students not only knowers, right, that they can know vocabulary or they can know the grammar of the language, but that they can really use the language for communication. So this morning, we are going to be talking about that. Okay, we already had the welcoming remarks. This is like the agenda. Then I will be delivering this talking that I hope is not going to be only me, like a monologue, but I hope that, you know, we can at some point have your participation. So I am willing also to listen to you. And at the end, we will have like around 10 minutes for questions and your comments. Some kindly remarks that I think were already said is that you get focused, you leave your keyboard alone, that you mute your microphone. It will be nice that you can open up your camera at some point to see you. I saw some of the faces already, or at the end, right? And also use the chat. If you have questions or comments, that will be nice, very kind also from you. And perhaps one of the Jacqueline or someone, if I am not able to read everything, can remind me so that we can address some of your questions and comments. The goals. What are our goals this morning? Are twofold. So we have two goals. The first one is to discuss the pedagogical strategies, you know, that we can use to make the English classroom very, very interactive, very communicative, and also reflect about possible applications in teaching. As Sujapa mentioned before, the most important thing when we receive a webinar is to begin thinking about how to use it and then go immediately. Don't leave it for next week, in a month, but go and use it. If you do it, it will become part of your practice, you know, what you do. So try to incorporate some of the ideas. I suppose that you have used Mentimeter before. Mentimeter is a very useful tool for us as teachers. So if you have with you your computer or your cell phone, I would like you to go to www.menti.com. And when you open up, you know, the website, it will request a code. So the code is there. You will write that code and then you will enter. And you will see this question that says, which department in Honduras do you teach? I found out that Honduras has 18 departments. I want to see where you are coming from as a type of warm up. And so now I will request you to do that. I will kind of stop my presentation so that we could go to Menti now. And we will, did you write the code? That's an important question. Because I need now to go there to open up this one, where do you teach? And see your responses. Oh, I am seeing some answers. Thank you. All right. So you can see the code on top. I see some people from Yoro, other people from Francisco Morazán, a lot of people from Francisco Morazán. I'm seeing now people from Santa Bárbara, El Paraíso, Cortés. Now Isla de la Bahía. Now we are finding people from Islas de la Bahía. So far, I think Francisco Morazan and Yoro are tight. I have 3 people now from Yoro. I hope you were able to enter Mentimeter. I will give you like 1 more minute.
Doctor, the code is set in the chat section for those who didn't get a chance to copy it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that very much, Jacqueline. All right, so I think most of the people seem to be coming from Yoro. Now we have more people from Cortés. Wow. I am imagining Honduras, right? Imagining with the map. And I see that there are people from the center of the country now. Oh, one from Copan. Do you know that once I visited Honduras? That was at the beginning of the like in 23, more or less, 2003, sorry, 2003. And I visited Copan, a very, very beautiful city. I visited the ruins of the Mayan empire. It was very impressive. The beautiful, beautiful walls, the decorations, the macaos, you know, that they were able to paint on the walls. That was very, very nice. I enjoyed a lot that city. Very clean as well, very nice. We have one person from Molancho. All right, thank you so much for sharing. For some of you, the ones who were able to enter Mentimeter, I know that perhaps not everybody was able to access the site, but at least we can see, you know, you can see in the screen your presence there, right? You are saying, here I am, I come from, I teach here, and that is really, really nice, right? To share with the audience where you are coming from. And now I can also, even if I am far away, I can get a picture. I can get a picture of where you are coming from. Now I see 2 people from Copan, right? And also let me tell you that I also visited some of the islands. I see the islands there as well. I think you have a very beautiful country. Your country is very, very pretty. And I always have in my mind, and I was telling the people from the Secretaría de Educación that Hondurans are very kind, a big heart. So I am really happy to know where you are coming from. So we are going to stop now with Mentimeter in order to continue with the webinar. And I'm going to exit now. I'm going to exit and I'm going to go back to the presentation. Okay, so I could see where most of you are coming from, some of the departments. I am sure that, you know, that all of you were able to enter. And we will continue working a little bit with Mentimeter. So because we need to know what a communicative English class is and what is not, I would like you again to go to Mentimeters, the ones who can, and go to that code 60 22 26 50. You are going to again enter the code 60 22 26 50, and there you will write some words that come into your mind when you visualize. You can close your eyes and you can visualize what a communicative English classroom look. What does it look like? And then you will write some descriptive words, right? How do you visualize a typical English class, right? So please go to Menti again. The code is 60 22, 26, 50, and you will write all, the words that come into your mind to describe that type of classroom. And I will go to Menti now again to see what can you share about what or how a communicative classroom looks for you. All right, so now we will go to the next question. So you can see that Menti is a very, very useful tool, right? That we all can use. Okay, let me move this and let's see. Let's see some of your responses. All right. So, okay, some of your responses are that for you is relaxed, is trustful, is funny, is comfortable, is meaningful, there is real communication, students learned, they learn to see English, it looks very creative, very interesting, okay? So those are some of your responses, and all of you are right. All of you are right, right? So we are thinking about a place that is funny, that is very interactive, that is very comfortable. So you are talking about the environment, right? How the environment is. We are also going to be talking about how the methodology, what type of methodology can we use so that this happens in our classroom, right? What can we do? Right now, we are thinking about the classroom environment, but what can we do to make that happen? All right, so first of all, let's think about us as teachers. What is the role of the teacher in order to create those conditions so that the environment is relaxed, that is meaningful, that is fun? All right, so some important things that we need to consider. If we take a look to that picture, you can see that the teacher is sitting on the floor, all right, at the same level of the students, right? So the students are not threatened. They do not feel afraid of the teacher. They feel comfortable. You take a look to that picture, they are comfortable. They are listening. They are sharing at the same level. I imagine that teacher speaking perhaps in a very calm tone, very relaxed tone, listening, letting the students talk. You can see that some of them are even looking. That boy on her right hand side looks at her face and is talking, is communicating. So we can see that the teacher there belongs a resource. The teacher there becomes a resource, becomes a collaborator, right? Someone that is helping the students, that is sharing with the students. But the teacher can also have an expert role. When we are presenting a grammatical structure, for example, when we are explaining a grammatical point, we become experts. When we are talking about the meaning of the words, when we are talking about the use of the words, of vocabulary, we become experts. We are facilitators. What does facilitator means? Facilitator, in this case, means that we are the ones that know how to teach, right? Perhaps, in order to know things related to explanations, grammatical explanations, we can give them, but some of them now are online, right? So, but we are experts in pedagogy. We are experts in teaching. So I think that also we are the ones who know how to keep the pacing of the lesson. We are the ones who know, what is the best activity according to the context, according to the level of our students, according to the needs of our students. So we are the ones who create the conditions so that learners can learn. So those are different roles, you know, that we need to play so that the class, as you said at the beginning, becomes funny or fun, becomes interesting, meaningful, interactive, active. And what is the role of the students? If you take a look to that picture, that happens in some of our class that perhaps are like yours. So you see the students actively engaged, right? They are sitting on the floor sometimes. We don't have this rigid, you know, classroom arrangement where you only see lines, so that a non-communicative classroom perhaps will see the teacher in front. We will see rows, you know, straight rows, all the ones looking at the teacher. The communication is only in one direction, you know, it's very, very vertical, where the teacher speaks and the students listen only. So it becomes kind of boring. Students cannot use the language, right? They are just writing perhaps on their notebooks, taking notes. That is what a communicative classroom is not. Here in this picture, you can see the students actively engaged. They are learning together, they are sharing, they are looking at pictures, selecting describing perhaps the pictures, organizing the pictures. So they are active, they are engaged, they are participating, they are motivated, they are creative, and they are collaborating. So you can see that in a communicative classroom, all these things are happening. And the classroom arrangement as well is very important, right? As I said before, we need to think about other types of classroom arrangements that facilitate interaction, where this interaction can happen. So it has to be very flexible, and it must create, you know, this also like, it must also catch up students' interest that this environment can change, you know, it's not fixed. So sometimes we can have circles, sometimes, and I really love circles. I think circles are very useful because the teacher can be sitting, as we saw at the beginning with this teacher. It could be on the floor with chairs, with tables, but we can sit as well. And so all of us are equal. Or if you are in the middle of the circle, you also can keep eye contact with all your learners, and you can see them working. You can be facilitating, moving around very easily. So circles are very useful. Also, students can, you know, turn to the partner that is next to them or in both sides, you know, so we don't have to move the whole class to make groups here, then go back into pairs. So I think circles are very useful. Horseshoes too, right? We can have a horseshoe that is not a complete circle, also is very, very useful. It leaves a lot of space in the center also for this type of activities, or for students to go into the center and do something and select a picture, describe a picture, say a word. We can also have pairs and groups. So a communicative classroom must have flexible arrangements, and it must also try to make those arrangements being, you know, to change constantly, not the same all the times. And as you can see, those arrangements facilitate students' interaction. About the learning environment, something that is very useful, especially if you are teaching beginning levels, is that you teach values, good manners, and that is also language, right? That is also language, and it helps classroom management. Because sometimes, in my experience, some teachers tell me, Anna, how can we create a communicative classroom? When I do it, the class becomes a mess. It's very hard for me to control the students. But I think this is part of also our work to teach them, you know, to help them, you know, create their own rules of behavior in the classroom and paste them on the walls or project them. If you don't have your own classroom, perhaps, and you have a computer, a projector, every time you are going to start, you can project them, or perhaps you can create with your students, a chart of rules or some kindly remarks, to help, this collaboration and respect among learners, and you bring this into the classroom every time you come. So here are some examples, like bad choices, good choices in terms of behavior, and that also gives them input, right? They see that and they can even tell their classmate, please share your crayons or share your pencils, or please be silent, or could you please borrow me something? So I think those that type of rules and language helps a lot in this interaction and in the classroom setting and environment. Also, we need to use the students' works. Whatever they do, if they create a poster, if they create something, let's use that for walls decorations. I think that also helps a lot and gives students pride. They feel proud of what they do. They feel that what they do also is important, and it provides input. It's something that they can read aloud, that they can pass by and say, wow, this is Nancy Carlson, for example. She comes from the US, so they are using the language. Remember that language is not just speaking. Reading can also become oral language, and it has to be authentic and comprehensible, right? And those things are authentic. This, for example, this type of poster. Also, it's important to provide clearing. So I think charts, very simple charts where we tell the students what is going to happen, what they are going to learn, the instructions. Now, making learning inclusive is very important. So perhaps in our classrooms, we might have students that are not listening well. Their hearing doesn't work well. So we can help, all the learners learn according to their own strengths, even pasting on the walls or projecting on the walls the instructions. So the instructions is not just what they listen, but they can also see them. They can also read them. They understand what they have to do. Even this can become a routine if you have a classroom. This can become a routine. When they are working on speaking, they know what to do. When they are working in reading, they know what to do. When they are working in writing, they know what to do. And also look that here we have student, this is what the student does, this is what the teacher does. So everything is very clear to them. Also, something else that we can do is use your classroom as a learning resource. Everything that is in the classroom for a language teaches. So if we can have, where we have the board, we write board, whiteboard, that is giving them the input. They will never forget the word whiteboard. If we paste on top the name of the whiteboard, if we paste next to the desk a little word that says desk or teacher's desk, if we student's desk, chair, I think they will be able to get that as input. So try to make your learning environment an environment that is communicative and at the same time is real, is authentic for the learners. So that will help a lot in improving, in internalizing, in making the input output as well, right? According to Van pattern, a band pattern that is in a lot of books about how to make classrooms communicative. Now I want you to take a short time for you to think and share what other elements or strategies do you think can contribute to create a communicative classroom. Now we are focusing teachers' role, students' role, and classroom environment. Any other ideas that you have that you would like to share in the chat? I will be more than happy to see some of your ideas. Any other ideas that you consider useful, or if you want to open up your mic and say it, that will be nice. That you consider that is useful to make the classroom communicative. Okay, I use music. Okay, Roxana, thank you so much for sharing. You're right. Music is very, very useful, and I have it also as one of the strategies we can use at the warm-up stage. You're right. Any other ideas? Show and tell. Yes, we can have show and tell. We can have games. We can have action songs, dynamics. All right. So that role playing, right? That's right. Flashcards, singing. That's true. All that makes the class communicative. Thank you, Relmi, Melania, for sharing in the chat. Anagrams. You're right. All right. So now, thank you for sharing. I really appreciate that very much. How do I prepare my students to teach my lesson in English? All right, it's very nice, and that's also part of my experience. It's really, for me, you know, I don't know if it happens for you too, but for me, it's very disappointing if I enter a classroom that is an English classroom, and I see the teacher speaking Spanish. And sometimes the teacher says, I do it because I think it's easier for me to teach. Sometimes the teacher says, I do it because my students, they are just beginners. But I can tell you that even with beginners, it is possible to teach the whole or almost 90% of the lesson in English. So if we want our students to use the language, as I said before, input is key. And the input has to come from everything we have at hand. Really, as I've said before, if I have this pen here, so this becomes something I can use because I can say, this is a pen. This pen is long. This pen is gray and red. I use it for writing, right? So I can say many things. I can say, can you please borrow me your pen? Can you please pick up your pen? So I can use everything that I have at hand to teach. So it says, teach useful language. If you want to teach your lesson in English, you need to teach your students useful language for them to convey meaning without using the native language. For example, how do you say in English? How do you say lapicero? How do you say book? How do you say lo siento? How do you say estoy con hambre? So that we can teach them, right? We can say, well, you say, and we don't have to use Spanish. What does mean? Another very useful language that we also can paste on the walls, and we can teach the first day of class. I don't understand. Can you repeat, please? What is this? That's useful language that we should teach our learners the first day of class or the first week of class and continue, because it's a process. We cannot say, I taught it last week and now they know it. No, we need to continue. Remember that this is constant. The input must be constant so that it becomes automatic and becomes output. Also, we can teach classroom verbs, right? And demonstrate. It's more important in English to demonstrate than to explain. So listen, come, stand up, sit down, read, write, open, close. Those are basic words that they should know so that we can teach the whole lesson in English, right? And use gestures, listen, speak, say, read, write. We need to accompany our words with gestures. So making gestures is very important. That is part of what we call TPR, right? Total physical response. The use of reality, as I said before, pictures, videos to convey meaning is very, very important. And now we have tons of resources online that facilitate this process. How can I scaffold a communicative English lesson? So this is the basic steps that you might know. We have the warm-up, we have the presentation, control practice, creative practice, production, and assessment. So if you read any theory that we have so far, a communicative approach, those are the steps that we should follow in order to, promote communication. Let's go again about what is a warm-up activity and what is not. I want you again to go to Menti 26043487, where you can share what is for you a warm-up. What is it, a warm-up? Because sometimes, you know, some teachers say, I do it, I don't do it. Sometimes I have seen warm-ups that become almost, instead of a warm-up, becomes a control practice activity or a production activity. So what is a warm-up? I would like you to share your thoughts very quickly in menti.com using that. You can also use the chat. If you cannot connect to Menti, perhaps you can use also the chat. Oh, all right. Let me go to Menti now. To see some of your responses about warm-ups. All right, here we have already some responses, and I really appreciate your thoughts, your ideas sharing here. Is an icebreaker, could be to make questions, sing a short song. I use it to introduce a topic. It's an activity that prepares students for active learning dynamics. I use when I want students to pay attention to the new topic, getting in the mood and topic activity. All right, we have here very interesting ideas that I agree totally with you on those, right? Some keywords here is that it's short. All right, a warm-up is a short activity. For example, if you take a look to the picture that we have there, when we warm up, is because we are getting ready to do something more intense. We are preparing our minds, our bodies, right, for this activity. So in the case of a warm-up activity, it's very similar. Warm-up is a word that was borrowed from physical education into teaching, and it has the same purpose. What is the purpose? The purpose is to activate the mind and the body, to make the mind and the body ready for what comes next. That will be more intense in terms of teaching, but a warm-up doesn't take too long. If you are going to, let's say, make a 40 minutes routine of exercising, perhaps the warm-up is going to take 5 minutes. So it's the same when we teach. It's exactly the same when we teach. The warm-up cannot be something that takes 20 minutes. So if it's something that takes 20 minutes, it's not a warm-up anymore. Okay? So we need to make sure, we need to make sure that we are using the warm-up as it is. So it's a short, engaging activity to welcome students and prepare them for the English class. As you said, it could be a song, a very short one, a riddle, you know, that is something very short, a joke, something that makes them laugh, or a very, very short game, just to make, you know, to bring them into the mood of the lesson. And there is a difference between an icebreaker and a warm-up. The purpose is similar, but the purpose is different. So here, this is a warm-up activity. For example, I can tell you, look at the following picture for 20 seconds. Now, try to remember as many items as you can. And I do this, right? And then I ask you, what did you see? What did you see in the picture? So you can, I don't know if any of you want to say something about the picture. Do you remember some of the items that you, I know that I put it very, very quickly. Anybody who would like to participate and try to remember what did you see in the picture? Any teacher? I would like to hear any voice. I haven't heard any yet. Luis, go ahead, please. Tell me what you saw.
Open your
Luis,
microphone.
I think you are muted. Luis, could you please unmute your microphone, your mic? We cannot hear you. Anybody else's? I know that Luis wants to say something, but anybody who remembers something that you saw in the picture very quickly? Besides Luis? All right, somebody says, Luis says, I saw a soccer ball. Oh, I'm sorry, we cannot turn on the microphone. All right, so you saw a soccer ball. All right, I think you are totally right. You are totally right. Yes.
Give us a minute. Give us a minute, okay?
Okay, okay. Here is the picture again. Okay, there is a soccer ball there. All right, anything else that you remember? Okay, so that is something, the idea here, because of time, that I want to tell you is that a warm-up can be something very simple. Just showing a picture for 20 seconds and asking them, what do you remember in the picture, is a warm-up just to activate English. So they are going to say, teacher, I saw this, I saw that, and then they are ready to start. That's the idea. We can also have pictures, right? I can have a lot of pictures, as you saw in the first photograph that I showed, and I can tell them, select one that you like and describe it, right? Very quickly, say something about the picture. That's another warm-up. We can use proverbs, proverbs, they are useful. They are teaching also different ways to say things in the new language that they are learning. For example, I can tell my students, choose a proverb from this list that you like and explain the meaning, right? So they can take out one that they like, or I can project them on a screen with a projector, and they select one and they will say, well, for me, it means this, even if they cannot say it totally in English, but that they can get the proverb, and they learn how to use proverbs in English. Okay, we can use riddles as well. For example, I can say is white on the side, on the inside, sorry, can be red, yellow, green on the outside. What is it? And a green leafy vegetable that tastes good in salads. What is it? So we can use tongue twisters as well. I highly recommend you to go to the British Council site. We have very, very nice, there is one, perhaps I can show it to you if my internet is good today. Jorge, yes, Jorge? I cannot hear you.
Good morning.
Oh, yes, Carlos. Hello. Yeah. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's an interesting learning process that you are teaching in this morning. I like to consider that warm-up is a special moment for link, teacher, and student, right? Yes. And you get the emotional mood of the student, you are going to succeed in your classroom, right? Because you are just like a farmer. You see the seed, and you are planting the seed on this student, and you conquer the emotional mood of the student. You got it. You are one of the best teachers, right? Because you feel the emotional space that is important to scaffold all the process of teaching. Excellent.
Yes, that's right. So this is, for example, a tongue twister. It's simple, but it could be Greek grapes. And then it goes very, very quickly, Greek grapes. And so I think this is something, that you can use at the beginning of your lesson, using tongue twisters is fast, 2-5 minutes, and then students are ready. As you said, songs also can be very useful. This is another one, sorry, that you can project. It's about feelings. I know that, but you know, students can express their feelings. They can make changes to the song. Something that I really liked about the British Council materials that I highly recommend you to use is that they have preparation as well. Sometimes I am sad. Some days I feel good. I feel bad. All right, I'm going to stop it. It was just for you to see it. You know that there are a lot of, as you said, a lot of possibilities, here, and are ways to start our lesson. Also, we can use giving short, you know, telling short stories in English. I can have my backpack, and I say, I have my backpack. In my backpack, I have one notebook. And then the next student continues and says, in my backpack, I have one notebook, and I also have a pencil, and I also have a ruler, for example, and they continue the story. Or they can use, for example, the structure I like, and they can say, the teacher can say, I like mangoes, and then the next student can say, she likes mangoes, I like grapes, for example. And so we are reinforcing the structures like I like, she likes, he likes. So that's another type of, you know, drill that we can use, you know, and it's very communicative. In the getting to know, this is what I wanted to tell you, that an icebreaker, the difference between a warm-up activity and an icebreaker is something that we do when people are meeting for the first time and they don't know each other. So the purpose of the icebreaker is to get people know each other. The warm-up is an activity that we always do at the beginning of a lesson, to activate our students' minds, to get them into the lesson, to make them interested and motivated. That's the purpose of the warm-up, similar to when we are going to start a physical routine. The icebreaker, the purpose is to make people know each other. So I wanted to make clear to you the difference. All right, there are other warm-up activities, you know, that we can do, and I think you already posted some of them on the chat. Now, presentation. I remember that I told you that we follow a sequencing when we are teaching to make people speak the language. So we need, after we activate their minds with English and make them speak. Yes, I hear Carlos, or I hear somebody speaking.
No, sorry. Well, all right. I said that the presentation is also the indication that you are giving to the student. You are modeling using all the resources that you have, the ALIA, using some of the pedagogical resources, and the student is when you are preparing just the food for the student, right? It depends on how there are many meals, but the most delicious meal is about your attitude, your mood to prepare this food. So many students like the way the teachers teach, right? And the other not. Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with you 100%. Thank you, Carlos, for sharing your thoughts.
Mira.
Nuri?
Yo. Va, se me fue.
I hear you, Nuri. I can hear your voice. Do you want to say something? All right. So if you want to say something about the presentation stage, right? What do you think teachers should do when they are on this stage, presentation? We can go to Menti. This is the last, no, there is one more at the end, but this is one of the last times we'll be going to Menti. 25, 61, 96, 29. Write your thoughts about what you think we are supposed to do in the presentation stage so that we can promote use of the language, so that students get ready to use English for communication. All right, let me see. Let me go to Menti and see your responses. All right, I have a lot of thoughts about warm this, which is great. Now let's see, what are your thoughts about presentation? All right, explain or answer students' questions, give instructions, present the topic. All right, so there are three important thoughts here, right? Very important. One is that we present, give instructions, and explain or answer students' questions. So perhaps we go like from the left to the right. All right, we present, we give instructions, and we explain. All right, so I think you are totally right. The presentation stage should be the only part of the lesson that is teacher-centered. That is very important. Remember that a traditional classroom is controlled by the teacher. So that is what we should not do, right? A communicative classroom should be focused on the learner, giving the learners the chance to use the language. So this means that, this means that all right, let's see where I am. All right, here in the presentation. The presentation this is very important. We have to introduce the goals, the objectives of the lesson. Remember that the students need to know what are they going to do. So share the goal with the learner. Make the learner responsible of his or her own learning. So clarify objectives, right? Then you begin your presentation, which has to be short. If your presentation takes an hour, if your presentation takes very long, it's not effective. You have to be, if you give your students too much, they are not going to get it. So make sure that your presentation goes straight to the point and introduce the new language elements that you want them to use. And then it has to be motivating and prepare students for the following steps. And of course, we need to clarify if there are questions, as you said. For example, let's say that I am describing places and things in past tense and using there was and there were for describing places. Those are my objectives. So I need to share them with the students. Then I can motivate them. What do you know about deserts? For example, if I'm going to use that to describe there was, there were in past, what are deserts like? And they begin, to brainstorm ideas. We are activating their prior knowledge. And then we can begin saying, last year I visited Chile, and I went to Atacama's desert. Right? You as the teacher, you can personalize, and then you say, there was, there were, and you are beginning to introduce the forms that the students are going to need, right? Here, I was thinking about a song as well. There were plants, birds, rocks, things. There was sand. There was hot. The heat was hot. So we can use a covert form so that they can create the rules based on this. When do you use where? When do you use was? To talk in past tense when you are describing. Then after that, they can begin using the forms, right? Another way to do it is using a presentation online. Online, if you go to this address here, you can see a presentation, a very nice one, by the way. I'm going to just show you a little bit because of time, because I know that I also have now not too much time. So here we have a very nice presentation that takes 4 minutes, right? We can also do it online. The thing now with YouTube is that we need to skip the ads. And here we have one presentation of past.
Hello. Welcome to pronunciation practice. My name is Sammy, and I am an American English language student. Today, we are going to practice pronouncing past tense sounds using regular verbs ending in ed. For regular verbs, we usually add ed to the end of the verb to make it past tense. The spelling is easy because you just add ed, but the pronunciation can be a little tricky. Last weekend, I walked to the restaurant. When I got there, I glanced through the menu. The waiter arrived and I ordered a steak. After dinner, the waiter
All right,
Mrs.
I'm
Anna,
going to stop. This is just for you to see. You know that there are other ways to present, right? We can do it using, you know, some online presentations, you know, that match your content, what you want to teach, and it has to be short. Then we move into what we called controlled practice. If you continue watching that video, you will see that it has controlled practice because then students are requested to read or to say something in past, right? So it moves into the usage of the form that in this case is the past tense in a very limited setting. So they are using it, you know, but still in a very controlled way. So some ways to practice, to control practice is using pictures. I can again use pictures and say, okay, yesterday I danced, so that they apply the rule. Yesterday I walked, so that they can apply the rule. Yesterday I waited for the bus. Yesterday I played soccer. This is controlled practice, but students are using the language, right? We can use it with other forms. Find someone who is very useful. If we are practicing, for example, do you? So find 3 people who likes apples, carrots, spinach, and they can use, do you like carrots? I like it. I don't like it. So they can practice the forms. That is controlled practice as well. Then we move into creative practice. Creative practice is when students can use the language creatively. Right? For this, as you said in the chat, we can have role plays. In the role play, what I highly recommend you is that you need to think about it because it's a situation. You need to create a communicative situation. A role play is not telling the students, okay, practice this dialogue. Now go and say the dialogue, the same dialogue. Right? Because then that is not communicative practice. They are repeating. They are not really producing anything creatively. So here, if we want to go into creative practice, we need to think about the role play as a new situation where they are going to apply their learning and they are going to, you know, create something new. Let's say that if we are practicing past tenses, then in this new situation, it could be, you know, you went to the beach last weekend. Now, you are going to find a partner and you are going to tell your partner what you did, right? And you are going to say everything in past tense. Or if you are going to practice there was and there were, in creative practice is, again, a role play where you are going to describe someone, your trip to a national park. What did you see, right? So they will begin saying, what was there? There was, there were. But here they have to use it in a very situation. And what is the role? You have to establish the task. What is the role for the student and what is the role for the friend? A and B. So you can say here that says, greet your friends, thanks them for the invitation, answer their questions about the type of food you like and you dislike, say goodbye. And then you establish the role for the other person. So the role playing demands you to really establish the roles and the situation that you want your students where you want your students to use the language in a creative way. Solving problem activities as well. You can give them a picture and you can give a situation. You and your friend were invited to a trip to the mountains and then to the beach. You can only take one piece of clothing per person. Which one will you choose and why? So this is a problem solving where they have to discuss why am I taking tennis shoes or high heel shoes or a sweater or a cap or a jacket, right? Or if, you know, because it's hard here to choose because the clothes is not informal. So they have to justify. Also, a very important type of activity for creative practice, that is where they use the language for communication, are information gap activities. In an information gap activity, usually we have a pair, student A, student B, and there is a situation, a gap of information that they need to fill by talking, by asking questions. So there is a need, you know, for communication. And some examples of information gap activities, again, you have to create the situation. In this case, student A has a set of items that he needs to put in that cabinet or on the table, and the other student has already the solution. So they have to begin negotiating, meaning about where, for example, can you please tell me where is the knife? And then I will say the knife is on the left side of the table. Where is the candle? And I will say the candle is in the middle of the table. So you can see, and you can see that they have to begin talking, asking questions in order to complete the task. And the same is when they have to find out differences. I can give one picture that is different to the other, and then they have to begin, you know, like drawing first, you know, to see what the partner has, and then they have to decide what are the main differences between the two pictures. So here they have to talk, they have to speak. Maps also for giving directions, people is very useful because I can say I am here and I need to go to the Liberty bookstore. How can I get there? So they have to begin, okay, walk 2 blocks on Maple Street, turn right or turn left on 2nd Avenue, and then Liberty Bookstore is on your left-hand side, for example. So that's another way in which they can't talk. Here, we can personalize the maps to the places where they live, or to the city of San Pedro Sula or Tegucigalpa, so that it becomes real life. All right, so now getting into this point, my question is, what other types of information gap activities, role-playing or problem-solving can you create for your students based on a specific topic of your curriculum? What do you think? What have you used any of those? Have you used before information gap activities, role-playing or problem-solving to promote communication? Elvia, please, the floor, the microphone is yours. Thank you, Elvia. I cannot hear her. Are you there, Elvia?
Sorry, me equivoqué, lo siento.
Oh, all right. No problem. Anybody else who would like to say something about what if you have done information gaps?
Well, sorry.
Realme.
Yeah, for example, when you're solving problems, exercise like before.
Realme wants to speak.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Hi, Relmi. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Well, when you say solving problems, you are thinking about the exercises that we apply to the students once we have taught the subject, right?
Yes, that's right. After the presentation stage and after the controlled practice stage, right? We move into creative practice where students use the language creatively. You're right.
Well, I think most of us use that because after we explain the subject, we usually write some exercises at the board, or sometimes they have the work text, they have the exercises to solve. For example, if I'm teaching past tense verbs, I usually give them an article and they have to circle as much past tense verbs as they can. So I think that way they'll learn a lot because I usually tell them the difference between regular and irregular verbs. So I think most of us use that solving problems.
All right, all right. So I appreciate that very much. That's great, right? We just need to make sure, because here we are mostly talking about speaking. So usually we can listen and then we can move into speaking practice, right? So that students can talk and speak. When we are working grammar, for example, in a very specific way, are connected with reading and writing. So then our goals are, we integrate skills, that's for sure. We integrate skills. But in this case, when we make the presentation, usually it's good to move into listening, right? Moving to listening so that they can listen and then they can produce in oral form, right? And then we can have input through reading so that they can write. And also each skill has its own scaffolding. But I agree with you that after presentation, we need to give students practice, oral practice, listening practice, so that they can produce. Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody else wants to share. I appreciate those comments a lot.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, Anna Bay.
Yes, my name is Anna Bay. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
I'm
you.
glad to hear this special communication, and I would like to understand more information about it.
All right, thank you,
You're
Annabelle.
welcome.
Annabelle, I appreciate your comment. All your comments are welcome. So just to begin closing, the good thing about creating information gaps in the classroom is that every student has the opportunity to speak. All right, I have two people more. Also, when students speak in pairs, sometimes we as teachers ask students to go to the front, right? You go to the front. That is not a good idea because that, that increases students' fears. Their affective filter is not low. Yes, Relmi, I will give you the word. Go ahead. I see that there are like two people with the hands up. I am here, I'm listening. So when it happens, when we are using information gaps, the good thing is that students are, interacting among themselves. They are not really afraid, of being in front of everybody, talking, speaking. So that is a benefit. And besides that, they have a real reason for communication, right? We are creating a situation that gives them a reason for speaking. That reason should be realized, something that they can do in the real world. So to be closing, there are 3 principles to make your lessons engaging and communicative. They have to be fun, active, varied, interactive, and ludic. Remember that here we are dealing basically with oral communication. how to foster, how to enhance oral communication, and also use authentic experiences, authentic situations, authentic materials. I brought these balls. You see, if you have a circle and you are using a specific type of form, it's nice to have a circle and to pass a ball or to throw a ball to somebody, and you can begin, you know, learners can begin asking questions. For example, they can throw the ball to someone and says, do you like pizza? And then the person will respond, yes, I do, no, I don't. And it's ludic because you are moving your body, your hands, your eyes have to be alert, your hands have to be alert, and so the class becomes, you know, engaging. You can also have puppets. You know, you can use puppets as well, and I think some of you mentioned, you know, I have this one, this hand here, I wanted to show it to you. You see, we can have a hand. If I'm going to teach the family, I can use a hand and I can begin describing the family. So this becomes something that is disruptive, that they see something different, and it becomes meaningful as well, because I can say, okay, this is my father, this is my mother, this is my brother, this is my sister. And then I can ask, who is he? Who is she? And so they have a reason as well to talk. So we need to make the experiences as authentic as we can and encourage personalization. Personalization is when I talk about myself, right? That captures the interest of the students. Use gestures, use repetition. Remember that nobody's going to learn a language just by seeing or listening to something just once. We need to, you know, to give this input all the times. We need to recycle and recycle. Something else is that we need to take into account that all learners are unique, and we need to provide spaces for them to use English, right? Using their bodies, using their eyes, also interacting in groups, in pairs, right? Using even music, as you said. So these 7 or 8 intelligences, you know, that Edgar Gardner refers to, is also something that we need to take into account so that our lessons are inclusive and all our students count. So now, in order to close, before we get into specific questions and listen more about your own context, your own challenges, I want you to go for the last time to Mentimeter 56, 14, 52, 15, and you talk to me about 3 things that you learned in this webinar, something that you consider that is useful, that you could use in your classroom, or that you want to learn more about. So I would like to get your takeaways, you know, from the workshop. 56, 14, 52, 115. Mentimeter again. Let's go to Menti. And let's go to your takeaways this morning. Three things, 3 strategies, 3 tips that you consider that you got from today's workshop. Wow, great. Wow, thank you. Great. Riddles, filling up sentence, control practice, thematic pictures, icebreaker, information gap, using games, role play, warm up, use songs, tongue twisters, and riddles. Solving problems, draw and find the differences, control practice. Wow, that's great. Thank you so much. Open questions, role play, exchange information about their pets, make a meal together. Yes, discuss a topic, talk about personal experience. All right, all that if you take those ideas with you, right, and practice them, I hope that the presentation will be available for you, because you can, when you are creating a role play, you can go and see, you know, the elements of a role playing that sometimes, I think for speaking, let me tell you honestly, that for speaking, there are nothing really online that really is really contextualized for creating, for developing speaking in the classrooms. I think speaking in the classroom is something that we need to use strategies and techniques so that students can use it in a very, very meaningful and authentic way. So my suggestion for speaking is that we know how to create a problem solving. So we create it and we bring it into the classroom. We know how to create an information gap. We create one using resources online, of course, pictures, things that we get, and we create something that is personalized, that matches our students' level of English, that matches the context where they live, where they use English. We even need to think about when and how they can use English, right? In let's say if they go to Copan, or if they want to talk to somebody about Copan, so what is the information that the tourist needs, and what is the information that they can share? So we need to personalize all those strategies, right? So sometimes a book, what the book gives is not, you know, completely how can I say this? It's not completely articulated, aligned with the context where we work. So it seems that there has been many ideas, you know, there are many ideas that are in your mind, which is great. And so I want to leave you with this idea, with this phrase that says, whoever teaches learns in the act of teaching, and whoever learns teaches in the act of learning. So thank you so very much. I also learned, I am learning, I am a learner. Thank you very much for letting me share with you this morning. And I also hope that this sharing has been useful for you. So I am open to any questions that you have, if there is time, right? Because I now let the organizers to tell me how to proceed. These are like the websites, you know, in case you want to consult. And I appreciate very much your time and your openness. You know, I am open now to your questions or your comments.
Miss, hello.
Yes, I am listening.
You say that is with samples about the real life. That is the most important thing, right?
Yes, 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 that is very important. I think that we as teachers need to know, you know, how to, in the case of a language, what is the best way in which we can create reasons for talking, reasons for speaking. Do you know why these online games are so useful, learners? I think there are a lot of people, I know a lot of students that I have met when I visit high schools, for example, that their English is very, very good. And sometimes I ask them, how come that you have this fabulous use of English? And they tell me, I have never been in the States. I have never been out of Costa Rica. And they say, it's because, or I speak a lot with people who speak English, or I chat a lot with friends from all over the world, or I play video games. And what is the thing of a video game? That is something that, you know, is authentic, is they are playing, is something that they like. So I think that when we are teaching English, we need to find real life things where we consider, according to the age of the learner, that they can use the language. And that's the challenge, I would say. Oh, thank you. Thank you so very much. So any questions or comments or questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Yes,
I can.
just thank you for the opportunity to be here and for you. It's been very useful. I would like to ask you if we have any page and any site that we can follow you so we can learn more about, your knowledge and everything.
Well, that's a very good question, Mariela. Actually, I have to be honest. I have a page in Instagram. Well, you can go to, link it. But honestly, I don't have like a page. I am kind of, like not, like a type of very, 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 that I like to be in social media too much, honestly. But I gave you my address. If you have email address, if you have questions or anything we have you want to share, perhaps it's a good idea to start a page or something like that. But because I work for the ministry, really, we try to keep all our means of communication very, very formal so far.
Could you provide us your email address then?
Yes, sure. My email address is here. I have this is my formal, my work, and I also have my personal one, but I think you can reach me there. Anna.campos.centeno.go.cr. I will be more than happy to hear from you. I also have my Facebook, but my Facebook is not very active really because I don't have time. My work is very demanding so far.
Congratulations. I just want to say thank you this morning because it's important to share this interactive and communicative approach for teachers. We understand the special time that we have when a teacher creates all the conditions to prepare this important process, because student is easy to learn in a nice environment, especially when you set the environment suggestion, the figure suggestion, the activity suggestion, and the self-suggestion to enhance the English teachers. Thanks so much, and we are eager to put in practice. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Carlos. Yes, you are totally right. We need to provide our learners with very nice, engaging environments. And we don't need to have a huge classroom. I think we don't need like fancy things to do that. Even the work that the students do, the things that we ask them to do, charts, flashcards, all that can be used. And we can be changing those resources constantly. It's just a matter of, of really, I think we as teachers, we need to manifest love, a lot of love in what we do. And I am sure that definitely is going to touch the hearts of our students and they are going to become very interested. And also we need to motivate them a lot. Pay attention to what they can do. Do not pay attention to what they cannot do. So keep always the motivation and the spirit of your students high so that they feel that they are successful. So be careful when you are giving feedback, when you are correcting errors. But that's another topic. But it's also connected, because remember that if you go back to the time when you were learners of English, remember how afraid you were. Remember how afraid you were when when you had to say something. So the same happens to our learners. So we need to put on their shoes and try to emphasize the efforts they are making, the achievements they are also getting, because that is what is going to make them feel that they can do it. And they will feel also that they want to try, that they want to take the risk. So also remember that, and that's what you are saying, Carlos. I agree with you completely.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. And I work at a public system, and I don't know if most of the participants work at a public system. We at a public system just have 3 hours, and not, when I say hours, I don't mean 60 minutes to teach, but we have 3 hours per week of 40 minutes. Do you think it's possible for a student and for a teacher to make the students learn how to speak English and to practice it with so little time? Because in the part that you are saying, be quiet, take a seat, take your book and pay attention, you lost most of your time. For example, 10 minutes or 15 minutes doing that. At last, you have an hour of quality to teach. So I think it's not possible for us that we work at a public system to make them learn English. I think our curricula should change. For example, when I was learning English at school, I used to have most of the day English classes, and we at school, a public school, we have just, as I told you, 3 hours per week, and those hours are for 4 minutes. So I think it's not possible for us to make them learn English, to speak it.
All right. I think, Raimi, I understand your feeling, and I think it's a feeling that most of the teachers, have experienced. Even in my case, when I was in the classroom. But I think that I would say that it depends. It depends. Remember that we are facilitators. If we are able to motivate the learner, a lot of is going to happen out of the classroom, right? They are going to, if they are highly motivated, they are going to find their own ways to practice. Besides that, I remember 20 years ago when we didn't have the technology that we have now, teaching English, this aspect of input that is very important. How frequently are you exposed? How frequently do you listen to English? But I see in the past, it was only perhaps the TV, something a little bit on TV, or the radio, a song, for example. But now with internet, I think kids and teenagers have tons of ways to get input, right? So I think that if we are able to motivate them, and we even give them sites, places where they can practice, using the WhatsApp, we send them links. Listen to this song, listen to this program, listen to this, listen to that. I think that there is a lot that can happen out of the classroom as well. But of course, we need to learn to use the time that we have in the classroom the best way possible. We need to, we need to learn to plan very, very carefully our classes and the time we establish for those 2 hours, for those 3 hours, and set expectations that are possible, that are feasible, right? About what they can get with what they are getting. So I think that perhaps with that time that you are saying, 3 hours, if we do it well, if we design, nice tasks, we have a variety of activities that we design for the learners, some that can be created with the learners as well. Even those things that I said that are routines. I think that if we have a classroom, I know that sometimes we don't have a classroom, but then we need to begin thinking about how can we make those instructions something that we already have them installed, and we don't have to be like going over and over every lesson we are going to start, right? That, that we already have them, somewhere, or we can take them out and paste them very quickly. And we say, okay, let's refresh on this without spending too much time. So I think that your concern is very valid, because I felt it. I have felt it. I have also heard my colleagues talking about it. But we now with technology need to find ways to make the most of that, to see, to understand that the learning is not only comes from us. No. Now the learning is also something that students can get, in a very autonomous way. So we need to find ways to activate that autonomy and to use more the technology that we have at hand.
Your suggestion. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
Marta, can you please turn off your microphone?
I'd like to say something to the lady.
Yes, go ahead. You can go ahead.
Yes,
Any
we are
other
listening.
participation?
Keep going, miss, keep going.
Okay, and let me tell you that the system is not going to change just like that. I've been waiting for that, you know, to be having more classes, but remember that we are teaching ESL. I'm sorry, EFL. And I really wanted that since I started teaching 26 years ago. And this year, beginning last year with the pandemic, we started teaching online, and that thing hasn't changed at all. We're still teaching online, well, but we're still, you know, doing our best as we can. And this seminary really helped me a lot. And from now on, I know what else I can do with my students. So what I highly recommend my students is that every time they hear a song, they see a movie, or whatever they do it in English. Use subtitles if you don't understand. So I really try to motivate them to use, you know, the internet, all the technologies that are going on right now. You know, they're more advanced in technology than we are. I mean, I'm talking about the old, you know, school teachers. And we try to catch up with them. So what I recommend you ladies, not, well, let's do our best, but we can do more for our students, recommending them, you know, to look in sites instead of being in TikTok, just making some videos. You know, they like to do that right now. Just in Spanish videos, do it in English. You know, go ahead and try to motivate with some stuff and do it in English. You know, if you sing a song, try to sing it in English. If you see a movie, try to watch it in English. So just recommendations to our students, and keep on, teachers, because that's all we can do. Thank you, lady, for your time.
Yes, that's right. That's good. That's good advice. All right. I don't know if there are any other further comments or question. But yes, I know, I understand that the teaching context of a lot of teachers is challenging. I know that it's challenging, but I am sure that if we are like, you know, use the resources we have at hand, we motivate our learners, we plan our lessons well, and you know, we follow some of the suggestions that, you know, are being discussed here, I am sure that you will get a lot of success. And I know that we also need as teachers to feel successful. And I know that we also need motivation, and we also need encouragement. But believe all of you that we are going now through difficult times, but at the same time, new opportunities are being opened. And I think technology is one of those. Even this webinar was impossible, perhaps, to think about this webinar 2 years ago. And now we are having the opportunity, you know, to be in contact, to be close to each other, to listen to our problems. And so I encourage you as well to get together. Even this idea that you are setting, you know, to open up a site and discuss, if I do it, I will let you know, so that perhaps together we can find better solutions to the problems that we have, sharing, because then we become stronger. Really, those are my last remarks. Again, to to thank all the organizers and you for your time, your comments, your motivation, your commitment. I can see it. I can see it through the chat. Thank you so very much, teachers.
Dr. Ana, we thank you very much for this excellent presentation. I know that all of us here today have learned a lot. Thank you for sharing with us your experience, your knowledge, your expertise. And we are staying with all that you have shared today with us. And I assure you that it's going to be implemented in all our classrooms because we want our students to be successful in life. So thank you very much for your time. As I said before, for your experience, for your expertise, and for sharing with us your knowledge. God bless you.
My welcome. I am very pleased. I am welcome.
Okay, remember, if you want to
you're welcome. Sorry, you're welcome. You are very welcome.
Thank you.
Now my mind is.
Yes, we understand, don't worry. If you want to receive the material that she exposed here today, I would ask you to please complete the attendance form. If you have already, thank you very much. If you haven't, please do it before you leave the room. Then we have reached to the end of this webinar. In behalf of Dirección General de Desarrollo Profesional, Centros Regionales de Formación Permanente, and the Pedagogical Technician, we want to say thank you to you distinguished teachers that have shared your time with us this morning, that had said present to this webinar, that has said, here I am because I want to learn more. Thank you. Thank you for being there. Thank you for want to be more effective in your classroom. Thank you for your attention, and I ask God to bless you and for you to have a great day today. As I said earlier, please, before you leave the room, complete the registration form. In that way, we are going to send this information, and there is the link in the chat section to which you can access in order to see this webinar again via YouTube. So thank you very much, and we will see you soon again. Doctor, thank you for your time. May God bless you too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Recording stopped.
There is the link so you can access to the registration form.
May I have a question? Is there a digital badge?
I'm sorry?
Is there a digital badge or a diploma?
Well, actually, for webinars,